What's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of the Average Joe Sports Podcast. As always, your host Don here in Los Angeles, California. I got my boy Albert with me to talk about our breakouts and busts for the 2022 fantasy football season. What's up, man? How you doing?
Doing good, brother. Doing good. Summertime's glowing. It's your boy's birthday month in June, baby.
Let's go.
You got graduations. You got a Father's Day. June's a good month, right in the middle of the year. It's hot as hell over here in Northern California, but I'm excited for summer, baby, and even more excited to inch a little closer to football and fantasy season.
Absolutely. Football season continues to grow closer for us. Obviously, we have the Hall of Fame in Canton game that always kicks things off. It means absolutely nothing, but it means what it does mean is football is closer, right? That game is under 2 months away. So,
excited about that. OTAs just started, so you got teams. It's like their first little off-season bullshit they do, and then they leave for a little bit and come back to training camp, and that's besides a little more positioning in teams. So this is just kind of the precursor to set up the season of 2022-2023.
Absolutely. So with that being said, football getting closer each week, each day, we wanted to present to you guys our Average Joe's breakouts and busts for 2022 in terms of redraft. And if it's feasible, if it makes sense in terms of dynasty, we'll highlight that as well. So without further ado, we're going to start off with you, Albert. Starting off with breakouts, who is your breakout candidate for the quarterback position for 2022?
Quarterback position, baby. I'm sure you're going to know who I'm going to say. It's the star boy of the San Francisco 49ers, Trey Lance.
Yes, sir. Why would it be anybody else?
Last year, he didn't play. The Niners were in a great position. He was in a great position to not be force-fed into a situation, only being 21 years old, being like a year and a half removed from football, coming out of North Dakota State. I think it's NC2, or it's the SWAT FBS, yeah. I think it's called.
MVC
so
or whatever bullshit it is. Junior high.
He had COVID, and he wasn't playing how you would like your college athlete to have as much games into a draft as you usually want to. So he sat, but I think this is his year to break out. He's starting. It's without a doubt. Jimmy G's not going to be back. The Niners put so much draft capital into him. 3 first-rounders, pick number 3. And he has a couple boxes got to check to have a great fantasy season or a breakout fantasy season. It's production in college. 40 touchdowns, no interceptions, right? 40 touchdowns, no interceptions. In his college sophomore year, because he redshirted.
Sophomore year.
At 19 years old, this kid, 19, put up these numbers. 40 touchdowns, no interceptions, and 1,100 rushing yards. That is huge for a fantasy quarterback. It's a cheat code to have your quarterback put up rushing yards, you know? The best fantasy quarterbacks there probably ever was Michael Vick, Cam Newton, Lamar, Kyler. This guy did 1,100. 1,100, but in college they count them differently, right? Because sacks, they count for rushing yards in college. So he did all that at the age of 19, and they got drafted to the Niners number 3. And he's going into a great position. You got Debo, top 5 receiver, Ayuk, damn good receiver. Kittle, top 5 tight end. All the weapons are there. And according to PFF, last year, the O-line was ranked number 3. I don't know how much you put into PFF, but ranked 3rd O-line in the NFL. It's all there. And his head coach, one of the better play callers, if not the best play caller, Kyle Shanahan, where he has turned so many guys into stars. Raheem Mostert, a backup nobody, really, into a top running back. George Kittle, for 5th rounder, turned him into a star. Debo, 2nd rounder, turned him into a star. Matt Ryan, he had his best year ever with Kyle Shanahan. Josh Gordon tore it up with him. It goes on and on. Like, these guys produce under Kyle Shanahan. It's right there. And with that being said, he's not getting the love as I think he should be. So it's a good opportunity.
What? Wait. What? He's not getting the love?
No. There's so much shit. Like, a lot of people are saying Jimmy G is going to be back. Like, he's not showing up in the off season. Like they're underwhelmed. That's why he didn't play last year, because he doesn't know the offense. Like he's not getting drafted in redrafts as like a top 10 quarterback right now. You could get him in the 8th round. And I think as the season gets closer, the ADP will reflect a little bit. But right now, early June, I think his ADP is a little off.
Right.
But you got to roll with Lance. He's got all the signs that are there to break out. Top 15 quarterbacks drafted in the past 10 years that have as much rushing yards as he produced last year are Kyler, Watson, RG3, and Cam. They had an average rushing per game of 42.7. And Lance beat that with a 53.6. So more rushing yards than them. And if, say, you just get 50 rushing yards a game, right? And a passing touchdown is what, 4 points?
Yeah,
I guess you could do 6 points.
In our league, it's 6 points.
Yeah. So you probably would have to score 12 touchdowns. If I do my math right, 12 times 4, 48.
48,
just to match his rushing upside, which could be 50 for a season. Is my math right?
I mean, yeah, provided. I mean, a lot in this day and age, almost all the quarterbacks they do rush to some capacity, unless you're Brady or Stafford. I mean, Joe Burrow's of the world, Trevor Lawrence's of the world.
He has the upside to be just a cheat code in football.
Right, for sure.
And he has the body of someone like Josh Allen. Like some of the little guys, they get beat up, kind of Michael Vick, kind of sort of towards the end. Kyler, he's a smaller guy. He got beat up. He doesn't hold up as well. And he's a big guy, 6'3", closer to like 240, 250. And I just love his opportunity he's finally going to get. I think his floor is really high just because he is rushing so much. He might not. And it goes with the 49ers run game. They have a beast of a run game with just Jimmy G. And now you bring that element of a dual threat quarterback with Trey Lance. I think it's at worst, he's a QB2 going into dynasty, but like I don't see how he doesn't thrive. So that's my guy, Trey Lance. All the signals are there, all the boxes are checked. Man.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into Trey Lance later. I think you said like you said, at worst he's a QB2 in dynasty, which I think would be bad considering where he's being drafted. Let's be absolutely clear. That would be bad. That would be a bust. That would be a bust.
Well, QB2 is like your 13th quarterback, right? There's 12 teams in the league. Each one gets a QB1. You know what I mean?
He's being drafted as a top 5 dynasty quarterback. So if he's a Q2 quarterback, then he would be a bust, right?
I think for him to be priced accordingly, would just for him to crack the top 8. Like I don't think no one's really. I'm sure he's setting himself up to be like a top 5 quarterback, but Allen, Mahomes, Herbert as 3, and then the 4th is up to grabs. So if he wants to get top 4, you could jump Lamar. It's feasible. He's a little older. Kyler, a diva, Watson, Jesus Christ, Watson, and then Burrow doesn't have the rushing upside. Like I love him. I have Burrow on one of my teams. I love Lamar, Kyler, whatever. But that 4th spot's up to grabs, and I think all the signals point to that, man.
Yeah, I'll save my thoughts on Trey Lance later on. But I definitely get your side. It's not erroneous for someone to think that Trey Lance could be a breakout quarterback. I want that to be clear. Trey Lance, obviously with Kyle Shanahan, his skill set and what he could contribute given the opportunity, it's not out of reach to say that he's a breakout candidate. So I totally get it. Yeah. My breakout candidate is Trevor Lawrence. For several reasons. Several reasons. Trevor Lawrence obviously was the poster boy, right? He was the generational talent. He was drafted number 1 overall last year from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and pretty much drafted into the worst situation he could possibly get into, right? Urban Meyer, that hellfire in which he brought around him with him and his team. It was, I mean, just the antics from on the field, off the field, and all the rumors in terms of what he asked of grown men for them to do in terms of curfew and all these other things when he wasn't living up to those standards professionally and personally. Not to get in too much into that, but now he's got a better coach. He's got a better system. Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson loves to run the run-pass offense, in which that is the offense that he ran at Clemson with what? Travis Etienne, whom he missed last year, right? Travis Etienne, obviously we know what he's going to bring in terms of the running capacity, but on the passing side, his sophomore year, he caught 40 passes. I believe it was 38 to 40 passes. His junior year, before he came out, he caught closer to 50 passes. This is someone that's definitely going to contribute in the passing attack. Is going to help in terms of a security blanket on top of the Evan Ingrams, on top of the other weapons that they brought on. And then on top of that, the biggest strength of Trevor Lawrence, you can tell that this was just a dumpster fire in terms of Urban Meyer and what they were trying to do on the offense in terms of weapons and overall scheme. His biggest strength was his pinpoint accuracy. In college, he never completed under 65% of his passes. He completed 59% of his passes last year. And I think we talked about this offline before, how his accuracy in terms of percentage increased with the interim head coach. So I think going back to the scheme and that run-pass offense and Doug Peterson and the success that he's had with, making other quarterbacks great, whether it's even Michael Vick, it spans back to, all the way back to the Michael Vick day. So
Wentz.
He completed Wentz, under 60% of his passes. In college, he completed 70% of his passes coming into the NFL. So definitely see that kind of regression going back to the mean in terms of his success. Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk. Christian Kirk is a guy that can get open, but he's not super physical in that terms. And the bigger adage was that he has a small catch radius. He can get open, but he's not a guy that's going to come out and stretch for balls or have this huge catch radius. He's going to need somebody that can pinpoint it right to where it needs to be. Who is that? That's Trevor Lawrence. That tailors to what he can do. And on top of that, they brought in, obviously Christian Kirk, the Evan Ingram, and they brought in Brandon Scherff, right? The offensive guard, big, beefy guy out of Iowa. I think it was a 5th overall pick in 2018 or 19. So not only did they beef up, the weapons in terms of tight end with Evan Ingram, Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, and don't get me started on Laviska or whatever his name, Chenault. At one point, a bunch of time, I think we both kind of liked him. He was a breakout, but he was absolutely terrible.
He was in that Cordell Patterson type of mold. He had that. I still think he has that ability to be like a Patterson type of player.
Well, he's but simply he was really bad. Those question marks he had in terms of how he was going to be, the routes that he can run, the drops, he continued to carry those doubts into year 2. We have the same doubts. I think if he didn't lead the league, he was one of the top 3 to 5 receivers in terms of drops last year. So he definitely didn't help in terms of, helping his accuracy, hitting Trevor Lawrence. So all these things considered, I think Trevor Lawrence should be able to take a significant leap in year 2. So he's my quarterback breakout for 2022 season.
He's athletic too. He can rush. He can rush too. I like
Exactly. With this run-pass offense, last year Trevor Lawrence rushed for over 300 yards. I believe he ran for about two rushing touchdowns. I think he can probably get more than that. I can see him getting 300 to 400 yards, 300 to 400 to 500 rushing yards, a handful of touchdowns, and that run-pass offense that Doug Peterson's going to administer with all these different weapons, spreading the guys out on the goal line. I think this is going to be great for Trevor Lawrence. So. Going to that, tell me about your breakout running back for this season. Who you got? Why you got him?
Breakout running back. I got myself. I was thinking about going with Travis Etienne. I'll say that just because he was hurt last year, but I'm going to go with my boy, Ramondre Stevenson. I know you don't like the Patriots backfield. A lot of people say it's a lottery. It's a running back by committee. But his competition is Damian Harris. He's not the best running back. I think he is trending to the other way of irrelevancy. James White, who is pretty good fantasy running back with the Patriots the past 4 years, is their third down back. And I think Stevenson has a role in this offense. He could potentially replace James White, who's 30 years old this year. 30 years old, James White, coming off an injury. Didn't really play much at all last year, did he? I think he was hurt. But
James White got hurt a lot.
At the bare minimum, he has a role to replace a third down back. And then I could see him splitting carries with Harris. Harris got one of the majority of the shares of inside 10-yard red zone or end zone carries. So if you skew that more towards Stevenson, I could see a lot more opportunity for him to score. I know he had like one of the bigger percentages of splash plays or big plays in the NFL. Right. I think he was like fourth. Let's see. I got another stat for you. Where am I here?
What you got for me?
Stevenson was fourth in the league in yards after contact. Fourth in the league. The first three: Jonathan Taylor, Golden Boy, Nick Chubb. People are high on him. Rashad Penny, but he had a crazy end of the year. And then Stevenson was fourth. So the potential's there. I could see how someone can think that he is a lottery type of running back, but I love the upside of Stevenson. Right. His ADP is so far down where you can take a chance and hit on him. And he has one of the better yak per reception in the league. I think James Conner was first, Jonathan Taylor, and then Ramondre Stevenson. So James Conner, one of the better fantasy running backs last year, 10.5 yak per reception. Jonathan Taylor, the best consensus number one running back, had 10.1 yak per reception. And Ramondre Stevenson tied Jonathan Taylor with 10.1 yards after contact per reception. And there's quotes going on at OTAs that he's working to be a 3-down back, that he wants to be a workhorse. His main goal is to be better on third down. And once you're on the field as a running back at third down, that is jackpot. That is money. That is why people love Jonathan Taylor. That's why people go crazy over Alvin Kamara, over Aaron Jones, because these guys get opportunities out of the backfield to catch, to press protect, and then go out for catches or passes on third down. Stay on the field all 3 downs. You have opportunity to get more points and be a better fantasy running back. So I think the opportunity is there. They drafted a rookie, right? And so he might be in the mix, but they don't play rookies at New England. Ramondre Stevenson didn't really have that much of a run last year. So they probably won't give the running back, PR Strong, I think it is, much of a run. Much of a run. So I'm not worried about that. I think it's his for the tanking. It's there. I mean, Damian Harris, if Damian Harris gets hurt, Ramondre Stevenson in that Patriots O-line, they have one of the better run percentages in the league. They're not going to pass the ball with Mac Jones. Are you kidding me? They're going to want to run it like the Niners did with
and watch your mouth about Mac Jones. He's my QB2 in Dynasty. Or QB1, actually. Right now, he's QB1.
Yeah, I mean, he's good. He's a good game manager, we'll put it that way. But Mac Jones, they're going to want to run the ball, man. They love to run the ball over there. So give me some Ramondre Stevenson this year, baby.
Yeah, I agree. I think Stevenson, the analytics support, like you said, the yards after contact, and if people are believers in the A.J. Dillons of the world, why not Ramondre Stevenson? They're going to have a ton of volume on the rushing offense. He's going to get his reps regardless of what Damian Harris does, right? And I think the split is going to change, right? It's going to get more it's going to be more of a 50-50 in terms of red zone inside the 5 for Ramondre Stevenson.
Yeah, and one more stat, he was number 4th in elite juke rate. I don't know exactly what that means, but it sounds good. 35.4. He was 4th in the NFL. He's in the mix. A lot of these stats, he's in the mix, top 5. Like, he didn't get a lot of run, but he's a breakout candidate. This is exactly a little hidden gem. You're not going to think of this guy as like Travis Etienne. It's kind of like you see it there, but I think Ramondre's kind of hidden down a little bit, blow the dust off, and he's right there, baby.
Yeah, for sure. I could see Ramondre Stevenson, especially if something happens to Damian Harris, definitely having a huge role. And then some of those efficiency, you can see in terms of raw production. My guy, I'm gonna go with a guy who's going to hopefully stay healthy, because he's another guy in terms of the Efficiency, he's great, and that's Miles Sanders, right? It pains me as a Cowboys fan to say it, but the real issue with Miles Sanders is is he going to get the volume because of his health? Can he stay healthy? I mean, this guy last season, we talk about soft issue injuries all the time. Well, one of the worst injuries you can have outside of the obvious, the catastrophic injuries like meniscus and all that, or just your hamstring injuries going into the season. Well, Miles Sanders, he injured his hamstring going into the season. He missed week 1. And I rest assured, he came back too early in game 2 and probably was never 100% throughout the season. And then he started having other issues, right? Knee, ankle, broken hand unrelated. But nonetheless, he started having other issues. You don't want to go into a season with a hammy injury, right? The hammy monster is not nice. So you couple that with his volume, which was a little bit lower. And then on top of that, he doesn't fumble the ball. So what I see is a talented running back from a talent perspective and an efficiency perspective. Yards per carry, 5.5 yards per carry. 137 rushing attempts, 754 yards. After week 5, he did not have a game under 5 yards per carry. With one game rushing for over 20, I think he had 22 carries for 100-plus yards. This guy, with the opportunity, he's shown that he is that guy. He is that guy. And now you bring in a guy like A.J. Brown. You have all these opt-out weapons, the continued production from Devontae Smith as he continues to get better. All these other weapons on the outside that should free up and not allow teams to load up the box. Obviously, there's the threat of Jalen Hurts. But you would think that they would continue to try to develop him as a passer. I'm a firm believer in Miles Sanders. If he stays healthy, this someone could definitely exceed his ADP right now and could finally break out. This guy, like I said, had the great efficiency numbers, but 0 touchdowns. 0 touchdowns. I mean, just complete anomaly in terms of yards per touchdown ratio. I'll have to take a deeper dive in terms of those metrics, but don't see that following up in terms of him having a goose egg, 0 touchdowns. So Miles Sanders, he's my guy in terms of breakout for running back 2022.
I like it. I would say it's a little hard to get on the back of a running back that has a rushing quarterback. If you have Jalen Hurts on your team, that's great. Yeah, that's stack. But usually, like Cam Newton would eat all of the running backs' touchdowns. Going in the red zone, Jalen Hurts, he's not that type of running back to power into the red zone or anything like that. But it is a little tricky. But what I love about Miles Sanders, he has a 3-down potential, and that's huge for fantasy upside.
Right, for sure. So tell me about Rashad Bateman. While I plug in my laptop, tell me about Rashad Bateman.
Rashad Bateman, baby. That's my breakout receiver going into this year. So the number one thing that makes me want to nominate this guy is Hollywood Brown. He got traded to the Cardinals, and he leaves a 25% target share that he was hogging from Rashad Bateman. He's taken 25% and going to the Cardinals. So that leaves 25% of some type of targets to get distributed between Mark Andrews and Bateman and whoever else they got. That's another issue. Who do they have that's going to take away targets from Bateman and Andrews? Devin Duvernay? That's not a number 2 receiver, man. That Devin Duvernay is their number 2. So I'm not worried about him trying to battle with another receiver trying to take targets away. But like in the same way I was talking about Miles Sanders and Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, that offense is kind of a more run-first offense. So you could say that they have a run-first offense, so he's not going to be passing the rock a rock. But he checks a lot of boxes. He broke out early as a freshman. That is huge. Broke out early as a freshman. They have a second-round draft capital, so they're not going to just give up on him early. They're going to keep on after it year after year. He has the better size and speed profile of any second year or third year.
Bateman, I believe this is his third year.
Third year. Of any third-year receiver that was drafted. Early declare. He left as a junior. He didn't beat up on the college kids as a senior. And he has pretty much the same target share as rookie year CD and he has the same PFF receiver grade as CD. So all the targets should be sucked up by good old Rashad Bateman. He has all the talent to be a good receiver. The thing is, he doesn't have the best situation. But if you squint your eyes, I could definitely see him breaking out. He has the talent. He has the profile. He has a good quarterback. But they're more a run-first offense. And between him and Mark Andrews, I don't see how he starts getting a whole bunch of passes thrown his way, a la DJ Moore.
Right. So another one, Rashad Bateman, uber talented, can definitely see in the right situation, continued production or continued increased passing attack from Lamar Jackson. I can see him breaking out. For me, I got kind of a similar situation with a lesser quarterback, right? And Elijah Moore, someone who is a smaller guy, super quick, just a guy that can get open in space. And plays tougher than, quite frankly, plays tougher than his size. I think he's 5'9", 5'10", but he just plays bigger than what he actually is, which he's obviously smaller. But another guy that kind of battled through injuries, right? Quad injury that eventually put him on the IR. But before that, he was trending upward. He was trending up to honestly a top 30 with the top 12, definitely certainly top 24 receivers. Last 6 games before injury, 76.5 receiving yards per game. 5.6 catches per game and 5 touchdowns in his last 6 games before injury. So he was definitely trending upward, but several games that he was above 100 yards receiving. So this is someone that obviously Zach Wilson loves to sling the ball to. He meshes well with someone of Zach Wilson's attributes. Zach Wilson, complete opposite of Trevor Lawrence. He's not going to pin it. He's not going to thread the needle in terms of passing, right? He's going to get out, get in space in terms of throwing it on the run, using his legs, and then finding guys that have speed that can get out in the open, right? Elijah Moore, he's not going to get a lot of contested passes, but he can get open. He has great release. So I think Elijah Moore meshes well with Zach Wilson. If you believe in Zach Wilson, well, damn it, you should definitely believe in Elijah Moore. I'm riding Elijah Moore because also I'm not as bullish on Zach Wilson as I am on Trevor Lawrence, but I think he's going to have continued success and get better and better. Last year, the Jets were bottom three team, but they were 28th in pass attempts, 25th in deep ball attempts. Jack Wilson, we know he throws a pretty deep ball. We know that he can sling it, right? We know that he's supposed to be this great arm talent coming out of college, right? So I believe through year 2, Zach Wilson's continued to get better. I think Elijah Moore matching well with his skills. I think Elijah Moore is definitely someone that should be a serious candidate for breaking out this year.
Definitely, yeah. They got more well-rounded in the offensive end. Got a couple of good O-line pieces. Got a running back. Got another receiver. It's gonna be more rounded. And I like Elijah. I loved him coming out of Ole Miss. He was a beast.
For sure.
I like it.
So tell me about your Albies breakout tight end for this year.
Albies breakout tight end, baby. We got good old Cole Kmet. He is tied with Justin Fields. So he didn't have the best passing efficiency last year. But he's got to throw to somebody because there's no one in the Chicago Bears offense that's going to be taking passes away from Cole Kmet. That's a box you got to check with fantasy. You want all the targets, all the opportunities you could get because more opportunities, more catches, point per catch, add to your total, beat your opponent. It's as easy as that. He has a great profile, big body, 6'6". The thing with him, where he hasn't really broken out yet, he hasn't got any touchdowns. So that's got to change eventually. He's 6'6". He's going to be a red zone threat. So touchdowns should be coming. It's not predictive, but you would hope that I don't think he scored a touchdown last year. You got to think he'll score at least a touchdown or two if he ever get in the red zone.
I was just going to say.
But he'll be a number 2. He'll be Cole Kmet and then Mooney. They had a good Mooney and Fields had a good repertoire last year. The O-line's shitty, but I just see him progressing. He's only 23 years old. It's hard for rookies to break, or rookie tight ends. They never produce really the first and second year, hardly ever.
Absolutely.
As fantasy relevant starters or anything like that. So He's got 2 years under his belt, and he's just as old as my bust tight end. So I mean, A-Rob's gone. Jimmy Allen Robinson, he's gone. Jimmy Graham, he was a tight end that was getting playing time over him, if not like side to side to him. He left, and all the signs are there to like. I think he might be a tight end, a top 12 tight end option. He's another guy that's getting drafted really late. So yeah, as long as he beats his ADP of his like scoring range, it's a smart choice. If you're not a guy, lately I've been a guy that drafts tight end early in the first like 6 rounds.
You are Mr. Tight End.
I know. If you go tight end 0 and like how I've been in past years and kind of wait, you want to fill out your roster other ways. Cole Kmet is a
distant pass.
Good. Yeah, he's a good guy to put your money on. Justin Fields, I was big on him going into college. He's in a shitty, terrible situation, so I wouldn't bank on him being that relevant in fantasy this year unless he just turns into freaking Andrew Luck, which last time I checked, I don't think he's built like that.
Deshaun Watson.
Deshaun Watson,
right? How terrible the Houston Texans were.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah,
we'll see. Cole Kmet, baby, breakout. What you got, babe?
I got Irv Smith, Irby, not to be confused as Irby. I got Irv Smith Jr. from the University of Alabama. Dude is a phenomenal athlete. Ran a just above a 4.6 coming out of college. We knew that pretty much all the cons for Irv Smith was that were his size in terms of his blocking ability. How was he going to be able to, contribute from a blocking perspective at the NFL level, right? And that's, remains to be seen. I haven't taken a deep dive into how well his, pass block rating or PFF or run block rating. I'm simply here to talk about fantasy, and the dude, trending it into last year, the preseason, and the numbers that he produced before. This dude was a trending topic. He was one of the, if not the number one sleeper going into last year. So everybody is pretty much doubling down, going back to the well at Irv Smith. Last year, unfortunately, he tore his meniscus in the preseason, which he had to have season-ending knee surgery, right? But before that, he had decent numbers going into the season. I think his first year or two, he combined for just under 1,000 yards. Don't remember how many touchdowns, but he always competed with the Kyle Rudolphs of the world. Last year, he was going to compete with Tyler Conklin. Both of those boys are gone. He's healthy now. He's trending again. Provided he stay healthy, there's no reason why Irv Smith Jr. should not be able to trend in that offense. You got Justin Jefferson doing his thing, Adam Thielen when he's going to be able to, contribute. I think Kirk Cousins, he gets a lot of shit, but, he's a competent passer. He is consistently, in that quarterback 12 to 16 range. Like, he's someone that can definitely contribute to the success of the tight end position.
That's reliable.
Yeah, for sure. So I got Irv Smith Jr. I think he puts it all together. He stays healthy. Obviously, you've seen the trend of me betting on these guys that have gotten hurt, but I think Irv Smith he's only got the torn meniscus issue. Again, he's never had question marks in terms of his receiving ability. So Irv Smith Jr., that's my guy.
Irv Smith is a good example of you probably guys hear me saying this a lot. Draft capital. He get drafted a late first or early second, but that was like 3 or 4 years ago. But since he got drafted that early, he's getting these opportunities year after year after year to break out because NFL talent evaluators are betting on this guy. They still like what he sees, and he gets all these opportunities. If he was drafted in the 5th or 6th, 4th round, like he wouldn't be getting the shots like he's getting. So draft capital means a lot in my eyes. So he gets his opportunities year after year. You just got to find the right situation, and he might find it with the Vikings.
For sure. Okay, let's get it. Now that we talked about our breakouts from quarterback to tight end, let's dive into our bust for the year. Let's start off with you. Quarterback position. Who you got? It seems like it's someone that's been ringing bells. We can't stop talking about him. Tell me who your quarterback bust is for the 2022 season.
22 season, redraft only, Deshaun Watson. This is a guy drafted top 5 in Dynasty. I believed in him being a great NFL quarterback on the field. He showed to have top 5 fantasy numbers pretty much every year he's been on the field. He was in the same breath for me back then with Mahomes. It was Mahomes, Watson, Rodgers, Brady. But then he got in trouble, and it's looking like he's a real shitbag.
He's a real freak on and off the field.
I knew the situation, and I was willing to take the little bet that he would come back after like a 4 or 6 game suspension. And Dynasty, it's all right. You're not playing for 1 year. You're playing for however long the league is together. So, and he's young, so I was like, all right, I'll take him, which is cool. And if he's at his low point right now, but next year, if he hits his top 5 ceiling, I can maybe flip him for something else. But in redraft, he's going to be suspended. I'd be surprised for less than 10 games. And you cannot take this guy. Can he be drafted? Or maybe it's like your last 4 picks you could draft him. But it's hard to have a successful fantasy season without a pretty decent quarterback. I mean, unless you get lucky on a late round quarterback like Zach Wilson or like Tua, and then you could double dip. Maybe if he gets back week 14 or 15, and you could swap him out. But if you're not in the playoffs, if you're not making a hunt to push at the end, there's no point of drafting Deshaun Watson. Or it just
at least not in redraft, right?
In redraft, it's not looking good for him. These allegations keep on coming out. It doesn't stop. The NFL they don't give a shit if he's suspended for 4 games or if he's suspended for 2 years. I would not be surprised if he's suspended for 30 games. They say 30 game suspension. Give him that Trevor Bauer treatment or some shit like that.
Yeah, for sure.
They've been dragging the NFL along through this mud pile of just sexual allegations, just misconduct, just fucking fuckery. And I thought it was going to end once they allowed him to be traded, and once the Browns and Texans cleared it. And I was like, all right, it's like they did their due diligence, but it's looking like the Browns didn't do enough due diligence. Am I right? It keeps coming. I just don't see how the Browns come out successful. A year or 2 from now, do you see the Browns? Wow, the Browns got lucky. It's the Browns. I don't see the Browns. It's like the Kings, man. It's like the Kings. I don't see the Browns the Browns really pulled one off. They might fuck themselves big time. They put $150 million guaranteed, threw away about 6 different draft picks. But it might work out next year. But this year, they better go a different route and trade for Jimmy G or fucking maybe start making up with fucking Baker Mayfield, because Jacoby Brissett isn't going to carry that franchise into a playoff push like they've been acting with trading for Cooper, and I think they re-signed Jadeveon Clowney. So they're building for winning now, but I don't think they're going to have a quarterback now. So that's why I'm saying you can't.
Yeah.
Watson, I'm not touching him.
Yeah. They gave him a ridiculous haul, right? Which made sense if you thought that he would maybe not. I mean, there was a thought that he might not get suspended at one point too.
Yeah, I thought it would be 4 to 6 games. Yeah, and I was like, okay, that's doable.
Yeah.
But they took the swing. I mean, the other side of the stick is they've run with Baker Mayfield, and Baker Mayfield hasn't proved to be worth much. So I get why they did the swing, and it made sense, but they had to do their due diligence. I'm not quite sure if they did it enough.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what happens. Like you said, the NFL doesn't give a fuck. They don't care.
They don't give a fuck.
They went through this extensive investigation for Tom Brady and the Patriots for the Deflategate and all this and that. Then they suspended Tom Brady. You think they give a
Tom
fuck
Brady
about
is the
Deshaun
golden
Watson?
boy, and Rob Kraft. I don't know if they suspend or not. It can't be suspend an owner, but I'm sure they fined him for all that. that little massage thing shit. They don't give a fuck, man. They might use him as an example. You can't be doing this fucking serial predator shit, bro. Come on, get a grip.
Yeah, for sure. So we'll see what happens with Deshaun Watson. Let's go to my quarterback bust, which you won't like, and that's Trey Lance, right? As the same reason why somebody, not the same reason, but people love them for all the right reasons, right? For what he's done on the field in college, all the skill set that he brings on paper with what he's brought, he makes to be a damn good fantasy quarterback, with a tremendously high floor. My issue with Trey Lance is that have we ever seen a quarterback hype this much with such a small body of work? Now I know that a lot of his value comes from the rushing ability, 1,100 yards, but I mean if we take a deeper dive, this man, he's played one season. He redshirted his first year. You can go back and look at the numbers. He played one season. That was his sophomore year. His junior year, before he came out, COVID happened. Yeah, COVID happened. He played one game. I mean, to be funny, it was a shitty game at that. I think he had 15. I think it looked 15 for 30, one or two interceptions, and a touchdown. It was not a great game. So he started 21 games, 19 in college, 2 in the NFL. So even the games that he's played in the NFL, I mean, yeah, he played the Texans. He played okay in the Texans game. But the other games, he's completing just above a hair above 50% of his passes. Because obviously the rushing, we're not talking about real NFL quarterback, but we need him to be produce on the passing attack as well. So we've got 19 complete games, 2 in the NFL, 19 in college, and then obviously from body work we had. Normally I wouldn't be talking about this if he played his rookie year, but it goes back to his competition as well in the college. We have to talk about that. What college? Who was he playing? He was playing Missouri State, Northern Iowa, South Dakota State, not exactly the Bamas of the world. These aren't Michigans of the world. And this, again, I mean, it could not be a huge deal. We've had quarterbacks come out of small schools, but considering all of the draft picks that they've submitted over to get him, the small body of work, we have to raise questions on what he's going to be able to do. And my question for me is this. It's not necessarily an indictment on his dynasty value. It's what am I going to see from him year one? Jimmy G's still there. They've excused him. Yeah, they talked about he was going to trade him, but guess what? He's still on the roster. And this is still very much, can they win later? But this is still a win now team now. So
they're fully committed.
So I think they're committed. That remains to be seen. It's a small thing. Just like
there's a couple quarterbacks that played less college games than Trey Lance. Cam Newton played less college games than Trey Lance. Ryan Tannehill, who isn't the best quarterback to produce, played less games than Trey Lance. There's a lot of good players that come out of small schools.
Who was after Cam Newton, though? Who was after Cam Newton?
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, Cam Newton is an outlier, though. Cam Newton is completely different. He's built different than anybody ever in the NFL. Like, you can't compare Cam Newton to Trey Lance.
Well, I'm just giving you some examples. I'm not saying he's going to have he's not going to be Cam Newton clone or anything, but he played less games than Cam Newton. Ryan Tannehill. There's some good players that come out of small colleges. Trey Lance, I'm not making this comparison, but he won the Jerry Rice Award as the best player in FBS. Like, there's tons of small college guys that turn out to be great. What's his face? The beard guy from a small school. That's Wichita.
Give me quarterbacks. Give me a quarterback with this much hype. Small school, because Cam Newton, obviously, the body is
Carson
different.
Wentz too, but Carson Wentz isn't really bought all in. Like, he came out of that same school as
and Cam Newton came from Auburn, big school, great defenses.
Well, he was able to transfer. I mean, he only played 1 year. It was weird circumstances. I'm sure he could have transferred after his first year. Then there was COVID, and then there's other shit. So he didn't have the opportunity to transfer. Like, Cam Newton came from a community college and then went to Auburn. Actually, he went to Florida and then went to Auburn, or went to the community college and then left. But I see why you're concerned.
But we've seen that. We've seen that.
I see why you're concerned. But the question is, will the Niners get the price they paid for? To be determined. I don't know. They just have to have him better than Jimmy G. And
well, no, they need him a lot better than Jimmy G for what they gave up. Let's put things in perspective. They need him to be a lot better than Jimmy G. You don't give up that what they gave up for him to be just a little bit better than
And it's
Jimmy
not
G.
like Jimmy G was fucking
dog shit.
Yeah, it's not like he was a good player. Like there's a lot of room for improvement there, and I think his you don't think his floor is high. I think his floor is high just because of his rushing ability. But
no, I think his floor in theory can be high. But the reason why I'm pumping the brakes is because he's had so much clout for someone that has not played.
See, I differ. I don't think he's an enigma, but I don't think people are hyping him up to be something like crazy or like the next Josh Allen. I think maybe because we're in the bubble of California and we surround ourselves with Niner fans and like Raider fans, and it sounds like it. But
what was his ADP in Dynasty? What was his ADP in Dynasty? His ADP, he's going in the early second round, is he not? Some even flirting with the first round. So how is he not getting the clout when he hasn't even played more than 3 games? He hasn't started more than 3 games in the NFL.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's why, to my argument, he's in a great position. Would you take Trevor Lawrence over him? Would you take Zach Wilson? Would you take Derek Carr? It's just a product of supply and demand. Like, there's not many young quarterbacks you would take over him. Like, maybe if Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud came out of this draft class, okay, I'd make the argument that one of those 2 quarterbacks will go before him. But there's not many quarterbacks that you're willing to take the chance on right now. Maybe if Zach Wilson or Trevor Lawrence got drafted into the Niners, like I'm not trying to ride the Niners dick or anything, but like they're just a better team than the Jags and Jets. Simple as that. So it's a supply and demand. I think it just fits the bill. Like that's a quarterback you swing on at that draft position. You're not going to take. You could argue Stafford over him, but like the age. Like it just makes sense. It fits the bill. Like you could take CD Lamb over him. You could take Kyle Pitts. Like it makes sense. But at a certain point, you got to choose between Austin Eckler or Trey Lance.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we differ, right? I got Trey Lance, and I think he's close to Trevor Lawrence in Dynasty in terms of third round. I don't like him in the early second round, but that's a completely different argument. So that's my bust for the 2022 season. Let's get to your running back. Who's your bust running back for the 2022 season?
This is the guy I was high on going into last year. I thought he was going to get all the opportunities. I thought he was going to get first, second, third down back. And it turned out that he didn't get the opportunities that I wanted him to get, which was Antonio Gibson. He's probably going like early third, fourth, maybe second in last year's redraft. He's just not going to have access to that ceiling of a third down back. They got J.D. McKissick back. The coaching staff doesn't seem to be high on him for whatever reason. Re-signed J.D. McKissick, who's a true third down back. They got Brian Robinson in the third or fourth round, as he's more of like a first and second down back. So it's kind of telling you what the coaching staff thinks about this guy. Are they not satisfied? I don't know if he can't stay on the field all 3 downs. He did lead the league in fumbles last year, if I'm not mistaken. So he's going to have a short leash going into the season. A couple fumbles and they might pull him, So that could be an issue. I mean, fumbles aren't the most predictive stat, kind of like touchdowns, but it's an indicator, or it's a signal that what could happen if a certain situation goes a certain way.
Right.
He had great size and speed as a receiver in college. Then he turned into a running back. So maybe that's why I was so a high belief in him that he would be a third down running back. He could get these opportunities out of the backfield. But maybe it turned against him where he's a little too soft. He's a receiver trying to be a running back. He's a little too soft. He can't pass protect, so that could be an issue with him. It's just the coaching staff doesn't really believe in him, it seems like. And it's just not coming together how I would like it to.
Right.
It could turn into something, but I got Gibson for where he's being drafted. I think he should be drafted a little lower.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You see, I shipped his ass out. I just think that it was time that his value is only going to continue to go down from here. They obviously love themselves some McKissick. They drafted another running back on top of that, Brian Robinson. They have another running back in the mix, and Jared Patterson too as well. So
Yeah,
they got plenty of guys in that running back room that are more than capable and are ready and are hungry.
he has a great profile. So, but I thought he would break out, but it just last year would have been the year for him to break out. And yeah, he had
Yeah,
some injuries towards the end of the year, but he just didn't. It didn't like something didn't like click. You pivoted pretty fast. I saw you draft him, and I was like, yeah, I would have waited around, but you pivoted in less than a week. So I like to see that.
yeah. I just seen the running backs were making a run. Everybody was juiced on running backs, and the guys winning now. There was a ton of them. Knew that I could shout,
Yeah.
and I shout. So, but let's go to my running back. We're at the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to kind of blow through this. I have Derrick Henry. Plain and simple. Who's running back? He's been 300 plus the last few seasons. We've seen Father Time pretty much undefeated. They're posts about it. We talked about it. The other the week. Henry 28 plus. Any running back. There's only been 3 running backs if you age 20 plus season and above that have finished in the top 12. That's Mark Ingram, Cordell Patterson last year, and LaShawn McCoy. LaShawn McCoy and Cordell Patterson, both of them heavily involved in the passing game with 40 to 50 plus receptions on the year. Mark Ingram, I think it was close to the 30, but nonetheless, more involved than Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry has never had over 20 receptions in a season. Big bruising back. Obviously, they lost A.J. Brown. We believe in Treylon Burks, what he's going to contribute, but he's not A.J. Brown. We don't know what they're going to do. Obviously, they know that Malik Willis is in the mix. They're committed to Ryan Tannehill initially. Obviously, they paid him. But we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be long term. I don't know. But for me, I'm staying away in terms of the body of work, the age, the injury on top of that. It's not like he had age 27 season and he stayed healthy, and now we're talking about age 28. He got hurt last year. It started last year. So I want nothing to do with it in terms of where he's being drafted right now. So Derrick Henry, he's my bust. Simple as that. Who do you got for receiver? Who's your bust?
Receiver bust. I got someone whose targets have pretty much got cut in half from the year before to this year. His yards per route run have fell pretty much from past 3 years. His touchdown rate nearly tripled from last year to the year before, which isn't good because that kind of like buffs up his number and makes him a little better than what he should be, but it's not the norm. So it's kind of that Robert Tonyan effect where touchdowns blow up your productive numbers. And that's DeAndre Hopkins. He got a new receiver coming into his room, Hollywood Brown, and he got a lot of targets from Lamar Jackson. And Kyler might see that same thing in what Lamar saw. And so he's going to take a lot of targets away from Hopkins. And Hopkins hasn't really played with a great running back or great receiver like that, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, A.J. Green was a little old. I don't know if Hopkins played with Andre Johnson with the Texans. Like, I don't know if he played. So. They didn't really have a great – Brandon Cooks wasn't with them, right?
No, they used with the Patriots, and he was with
yeah. So he hasn't had a good receiver in the same room with him until now. And then the biggest red flag, he got a PED suspension. He's telling us he's washed up.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like, for man, sure. He doesn't see himself as the same athlete as what he was. Like, he's taking PEDs. He's trying to get stronger. He's trying to get faster. That's just like the biggest red flag. Like, I can't name any receivers or running backs or quarterbacks or any athletes really that have came back from PED suspensions / allegations. He could be wrong, but he's just not the receiver he once was. Obviously, he's getting older. I just don't see how he can live up to that potential wide receiver of one he once was. I loved me some DeAndre Hopkins with the Texans in his first year with the Cardinals, but I think it's father time catching up with him.
Right. Yeah. Definitely agree. Right. The writing is on the wall. He's getting up there. Now the PET, not allegations. Yeah. They're being confirmed. Yeah. He's telling you that he's not that guy anymore, and he's trying to remain that guy. So. Yeah, and where he's being drafted is, I just feel like there's always going to be, because of his name, because of the clout that comes with him, there's always going to be, even with this suspension, someone's going to draft him more than where I'm going to touch him. And which happens, right? That's why you see me traded back. I think I traded back and I ended up getting someone else, which I flipped. I traded for Devin Singletary in Dynasty, which I traded away. I knew that there was a good chance the dude wanted DeAndre Hopkins, which I'm fine with. And it wasn't who I traded with. That was you, so it didn't matter to me. In terms of Tennessee, my bust for the year, AJ Brown, short and sweet. I like consistent players. I like guys that can consistently play. And AJ Brown, obviously, he's going to a situation where it's going to be low volume passing. He's already got a lot of mouths to feed. You know, they got Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith. They're heavily in the rushing game. Are they going to have the volume to beat AJ Brown? And on top of that, all things considered, I need consistent play. AJ Brown is always a big game threat, but he's not consistent. If you look at his numbers, he's having these big games where he's got like 150 yards for 9 catches or whatever the case may be, or 7 catches, 140 yards, 120 yards, and then he disappears. Then he has like 3 catches for 30 yards, no touchdowns, 4 catches for 40 yards, no touchdowns. So AJ Brown already was kind of iffy for me. Went to Philadelphia. I'm good off of him where he's being drafted. I don't like him there. And then obviously he's got some injury history issues too as well. He's once upon a time he had surgery on both of his knees. So AJ Brown, I'm good off of him. I don't like the situation. He's in Philadelphia, so he's my bust for the receiver position. Who do you got? Finally, the last position, tight end position. Who do you got?
Tight end bust. This is a guy that made some noise towards the end of the year. He's not really a household name yet. He kind of was trending that way. So I should just say you should draft with caution. That is Pat Freiermuth, a rookie last year, I believe. And he's the same age as Cole Kmet, which was 23. Cole Kmet's going his 3rd year. Pat Freiermuth, a little older rookie. He just had a really good season, but it was mostly because of the touchdowns. 7 touchdowns last year, 79 targets, but 9% of them were, 9% touchdown rate out of the 79 targets he got. And now he has more competition with George Pickens, and now Claypool, from what I've been hearing, is he's going to play more split end, kind of getting that semi-tight end role. And he'll have a better quarterback than Ben Roethlisberger. So I don't think he'll be checking down as much to Pat Freiermuth, kind of those close end seams and kind of taken away from the deep shots of Johnson, Claypool and Pickens. Deontay Johnson will be there in the intermediate routes. But I just think he's getting that Robert Tonyan kind of bloat in touchdowns, which aren't predictive. You can't bank on touchdowns happening year after year. You could bank on targets or target share happening year to year if you have the same offense and quarterback. But yeah, and rookie quarterback too. Pickett, do we love him? We don't know. But Pat Freiermuth, simmer down a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely get the Robert Tonyan relationship, right? Touchdown heavy, can't depend on it. For me, finally, my bust is Darren Waller. Prime example here, aging player that's getting a substantial target share taken away from him. Couple that with his injuries that he's had entering age 30 season, obviously, and the production wasn't there with Devontae Adams. He was banged up a little bit, but he played for over half the season. He played, I think, about 15 games of the 17, if I'm trying to remember correctly. And the production was not there. Why do we think that with Devontae Adams, with the target share, he's going to be drafted, or he's going to get the production of where he's getting drafted at? I'm not buying it with the injury issues that he's had in the past. And then also, finally, the defense is just getting better. The Chargers, the Broncos already tough on defense. The Chargers got better on defense. They already had pieces in place in terms of the secondary, but they got better. They added, the corners. And then the Chiefs got better too. They drafted well, and they picked up some free agents in terms of defense as well. So defenses are better in the division. The injury history, the age, and obviously the target share going down from Devontae Adams coming there. I'm good off of Darren Waller for this year. So that concludes our 2022 redraft, breakout, and bust segment. Appreciate you guys listening in. Obviously, if you're watching this and you don't follow us already, follow us at @averagejoes_sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Like the video. It definitely helps. Goes a long way in terms of the algorithm and getting our content out there. Before we say bye to the people, Albert, do you have anything else to say?
That's pretty much it, man. Just please like, please subscribe, please just interact with us. It helps with our growth, and ultimately, we want to just interact and just be with the people, help our channel grow. Anything helps.
Yep.
And
Help
let's continue the
us!
ride. Let's continue the ride. It's early
Yes, sir.
June, so many more fantasy videos will be coming. So this is just the part one of our breakout and bust.
Yes.
Of fantasy season.
If we're doing breakouts, we pick Average Joe's for Breakout 2022.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. Bust ESPN. No.
Oh. Overrated. I don't like ESPN at their ADP right now, but you can get a steal in Average
Joe's late round pick. Come on now. Average Joe's late round.
Forget about it.
Love it. Forget about it, huh?
So follow us again, IG Average Joe's _sports. And again, thank you guys for listening in. And that'll do it for us here at Average Joe Sports. Late.